So when I was growing up, there was a song. It said, "What the world needs now is love," and that's very, very true. And we, as Buddhists, we say love or loving kindness is the wish for all sentient beings to be happy. The world also needs is compassion, which is the wish for all sentient beings to be free from suffering. When I say all sentient beings, it doesn't matter whether you have 2 legs, 4 legs, 8 legs, feathers, scales, it doesn't matter. About a week or 2 weeks ago, Dr. Russell Coates did a BBC that said it all starts with self-compassion. So I'll refer you to that. So we start with self-compassion, and then we need to look outside of ourselves to see everybody else as worthy of compassion. Now, I'm sure we've all heard the story of Scrooge, A Christmas Carol. Scrooge is a mean old man, and he gets visited by 3 ghosts. And after the ghosts get by, he becomes a new man, a man worthy, a man of compassion, who seizes upon opportunities to relieve suffering and pain of family, friends, employees, and his community. And by the end of the story, Scrooge is a man who has learned that empathy and compassion for others can make a positive difference in his own life and in the community. Now, if you've ever been the recipient of compassion, you can understand how important it is. And you can decide today to be a compassionate person or even a more compassionate person. Unfortunately, if you listen to people outside of yourself, you'll hear that it's a dog-eat-dog world. I remember when I was in high school, a teacher told me that I had to cover my ass because nobody else was going to help me out. Okay. Capacity for compassion in the human mind and heart has been the subject of ongoing discussions in psychology, ethics, literature, and theology. But we're now finding out that it may be the key to the very survival of humankind, as well as the environment we share with all creatures. Also, practicing compassion with intention has a positive psychological effect on the body. It can lower blood pressure, boost your immune response, and increase your calmness. Now I'm going to be quoting from Dr. Doty, who is a founder of Stanford's Center of Compassion and Altruism Research and Education. It says, the world leaders in the science of compassion, says a growing body of research that shows compassion could be the key to improved health, happiness, and longevity. Brain imaging reveals that exercising compassion stimulates the same pleasure centers associated with the drive for food, water, and sex, the basic necessities of us all. Other studies show that it can be protection against disease and increased lifespan. This is all compassion. It proves, experts say, that not only are we hardwired to be kind, but it is essential for the survival of our species. People are much happier and live a better life if they are able to maximize their genetic potential for being compassionate. And it has a significant contagious effect on others, motivating them to be more kind. The corporate world, particularly those in the online spaces such as Google and Twitter, are also investing in compassion programs. Facebook holds an annual Compassion Research Day to develop tools to resolve online conflicts, a recognition that making people feel safe and understood is good for business. With the technology we have today, we're able to witness suffering all over the world, not just in our own little corner. So we are all now witnessing through the internet, television, radio, and printed media, if not the actual experience, to the suffering brought about by natural catastrophes and man-made tragedies on an almost daily basis. Destructive storms, diseases, acts of political terror, school shootings, soldier suicides, human trafficking, discrimination against one another or against groups of people. We observe or hear about homelessness, hate crimes, and too many children living below poverty levels or being traumatized by living in war zones. Everywhere, every day, we learn of people suffering in our own communities and in communities throughout the world. It is difficult not to be aware of all this suffering, yet most of us manage to keep it from the forefront of our everyday lives. Possibly because the sheer number of issues and the amount of suffering can seem overwhelming, we tend to cultivate our own gardens, if not actually bury our heads in the sand. While we often rely on our government and social agencies, local, national, international, to deal with many issues that cause people to suffer, it is everywhere evident that something more is needed. That's a fact. In our communities and in the world, we are now confronted with an urgent need to listen and to understand each other, to empathize with all those who suffer, and to act with compassion for the health and well-being of all people, whatever they look like. Compassion is a concept that is deeply embedded in our human consciousness. It may also prove to be crucial to our well-being in this world now, shared by more than 7 billion people, not to mention all the other animals and creatures that live with us. What does this mean? It means if you see a being that needs your help, and if you're able to help, then help them. It's a win-win situation. His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. One person can't change the world, but if each person allowed compassion to be a primary motive in his or her life, the world would be a much more peaceful and joyous place to live. So, act compassionately.